Coastal Photography series of how-to videos. Hi, I'm Keith May, coming to you from sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and today we're going to show you the first in a series of 5 episodes on how to take a great photograph. As I'm sure you know, creativity is paramount in photography, but most experts agree that there's 5 compositional guidelines which can help you produce the best photograph ever. By incorporating these guidelines into your photography, you can ensure that you will not only capture the elements that you're photographing, but also the artistic design. Let's begin today with the first guideline called the Rule of Thirds.
The basic principle behind the rule of thirds is to imagine a grid such as the one we have here laid on top of your image, dividing your photograph into thirds. You'll see the area is divided into 9 equal parts by 2 equally spaced horizontal lines and 2 equally spaced vertical lines. Now this works for both landscape and portrait orientations. Compositional elements in your photographs should be placed at or along these lines or near their intersection. The theory is that if you place points of interest along these lines, then your photograph becomes more balanced and allows the viewer to interact with it more naturally. Studies have shown that when viewing images, that people's eyes usually go to one of the intersections more naturally rather than to the center of the shot. When using the rule of thirds, the main subject is placed off center away from the middle of the frame. As a result, photographs create more attention, more energy, and even more interest than by simply centering the subject. For portraits and close-up photographic images, placing the subject towards one side of the frame, as shown in this portrait, allows some breathing space from the surrounding environment. Our eyes are naturally drawn to people's eyes. Therefore, the rule of thirds suggests positioning the eyes of this subject at one of the 2 intersections on the top grid line. How about this portrait? Isn't it a lot more interesting and appealing by placing his eyes on the top grid line rather than a typical mug shot that's centered right down the middle? Let's take a look at another example showing the rule of thirds guideline in practice. By placing the subject close up at the intersection along the top grid line, the viewer is instinctively drawn into the focus of this image, the orchid's sensual, elegant petals. In landscape shots, it's common to position the horizon along the center of the frame. This can split the photo in half, however. It's much more interesting to have a low or high horizon, for instance, with 1/3 at the top, 2/3 at the bottom, or vice versa, than splitting the photograph right down the middle. Just place it on the top horizontal line as we have here. Here's another landscape shot using the bottom horizontal line. As with all rules, at least in photography, the rule of thirds doesn't apply in every situation, and sometimes breaking it can even result in a much more eye-catching, interesting photograph. Experiment and test out different compositions, even if they go against the rule you just learned in this episode.